moments ago, the Arizona State Senate voted to repeal that state's Civil War-era abortion ban, a law that was first introduced in 1864 before women had the right to vote. And when the age of consent in Arizona, according to some historians, was 10. The law bans abortion at all stages of pregnancy except to save the life of the mother. Let's get straight to CNN's Natasha Chen. So, Natasha, what happens next, and what does this mean for the ability to get an abortion in Arizona?
Well, Jake, there's a lot of whiplash for Arizonans. What we're expecting now is for the House to receive what the Senate just repealed and send it on to the governor's desk where she is expected to sign it. But the repeal wouldn't take effect until 90 days after the legislative session ends. So right now, the earliest this could go into effect is June 27th. The Attorney General of Arizona has, however, asked for a stay while her office considers whether to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to review this ruling. So for right now, Arizonans just need to know that the 15-week ban is in effect in their state. And there was a lot of heated debate on the Senate floor today in Arizona. The sound bites you're going to hear are Republican Anthony Kern, who was actually indicted last week as one of the so-called fake electors, followed by Democratic Senator Eva Birch, who has been very open about her miscarriage.
I am just very sad that our Republican Party can't come together on this and can't work something out. We're pushing this bill through because we think it's going to win the next election, when I believe just the opposite.
I'm not afraid of the abortions that I had. I do not fear for my soul. They were the right decisions for me, and I don't have to follow your religion in this country.
So to point out, this is all very political, as Senator Kern was saying. President Trump has weighed in. Candidate Kari Lake has weighed in on this law being just too extreme. So the Republican Party is very split on what to do here. And to emphasize, the earliest this could go into effect is June 27th, even though this repeal, after the governor signs it, would go into effect 90 days after the legislative session ends. Jake.
All right, Natasha Chen, thanks so much. Just hours ago, Vice President Kamala Harris was in battleground Florida, where a brand new abortion ban just went into effect. Before today, Florida had allowed an abortion up to 15 weeks of pregnancy. Now, a legal abortion must happen within 6 weeks of pregnancy, which is well before most women even know they are pregnant. The vice president today noted this and placed the blame squarely on one particular individual.
Across our nation, we witness a full-on assault, state by state, on reproductive freedom. And understand who is to blame. Former President Donald Trump did this. Joe Biden and I have a different view. We believe the government should never come between a woman and her doctor.
CNN's Meg Terrell went inside a women's health center in Florida just hours before this new abortion ban went into effect, the clinic full of patients and anxiety.
So it's very scary that these laws are being put into place, and my life matters.
A sense of urgency inside a woman's choice clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, as mom of two, Candace, agreed to speak with us as she sought an abortion. For privacy reasons, Candace was comfortable providing only her first name and asked us not to show her face.
I don't think anybody plans to do something like this until it happens to them and they're faced with that decision.
Candace came to this clinic on a much busier day than usual, just hours before abortion access in Florida would dramatically change. The state's 15-week limit today rolled back to a 6-week near-total ban.
Very few people know they're pregnant at that point.
Kelly Flynn is the president and CEO of A Woman's Choice. She took us inside the clinic she bought in 2002. In the last few days, Flynn says they scheduled 2 to 4 times as many patients as they normally see.
So now when you get a call from somebody who's after 6 weeks, what do you tell them?
If they're local, we try to get them to come in. We will try to get them to come in and at least see where they are in their pregnancy, give them their options, and help them with whatever we can, with logistics, with travel.
Governor Ron DeSantis spoke in support of the law this week.
Being able to provide protections for a baby that has a detectable heartbeat is lawful and constitutional.
The change doesn't just affect Florida. Because surrounding states have had stricter laws, many people have traveled to Florida to access abortion. Almost 8,000 last year, according to state records.
This changes everything for the entire Southeast. You know, not just for Floridians, but for the surrounding states, for Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee. I worry it's going to be a public health crisis.
Now, patients across the South may have to travel as far as 800 miles to North Carolina, where the limit for abortion is 12 weeks, or further north.
Thank you for calling Women's Choice. How may I help you? We have clinics in Jacksonville, Florida. We also have Charlotte, Greensboro, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Denver, Virginia.
A Woman's Choice just opened its clinic in Virginia, anticipating Florida's ban. In Jacksonville, they showed us how many charts they'd been preparing for patients.
This is the amount that we had today, less than. The amount that I have to make tomorrow is that many.
Wow. Yeah. Pretty significant change.
This morning, the team regrouped for their new reality.
We're going to continue to stay open because I know many of you have been asking about that. And we'll see as many patients, serve as many patients as we can that are within the required limitations now.
It's not the end of their fight. Abortion will be on the ballot in Florida in November.
Will you be able to keep this clinic open that long?
I am going to do my best. I am going to try really hard.
For patients like Candace, speaking to us yesterday on the eve of the new restrictions, it's a fight not just for her, but also her 14-year-old daughter.
And I feel lucky that, right now I do have a voice and I have a right over my own body. But waking up tomorrow is devastating, knowing that my daughter and myself are waking up tomorrow with less rights than we do today.
And Jake, this clinic here in Jacksonville did stay open today, but they told us this ban, of course, is already having effects on the patients that they see. They said that there were at least 3 patients today who they had to turn away because they were already after 6 weeks, between 6 weeks and just after 8 weeks. One of those patients, at least, has already made plans to go out of state. Jake?
All right, Meg Terrell in Jacksonville. Thanks so much. Jacksonville Mayor Donna Deegan joins us now. She appeared alongside Vice President Harris today at that campaign event focused on abortion rights. Madam Mayor, thanks for joining us. So as of today, patients in Florida may now have to travel as far away as North Carolina. I think that's the closest state where abortion access is legal, to seek an abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. I know that a lot of women don't even know they're pregnant until after 6 weeks. What do you recommend that women and girls in your community who are pregnant do in this case if they want to get an abortion? What resources are available for them?
Well, I think you just heard a lot of that in the story that you just presented. I mean, at this point, unfortunately, we have to give them other options to go to other states. In the state of Florida, we take our right to privacy very seriously. It's actually written into our Constitution. And I believe that the preponderance of people in this state, especially women, are very concerned about having this government intrusion into their lives. But at this point, they'll have to go elsewhere.
In September, you mentioned that you had a good relationship with Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, in part because you worked in television news with his wife, Casey. Have you spoken to either of them about this new law and how it's impacting women in the city, either to the governor or the First Lady?
We haven't spoken about this, no. Obviously, we are very much at odds in terms of what we believe is the right thing to do here. I am very, very deeply appreciative of people's religious beliefs, personal, private religious beliefs. At the end of the day, this is about government intrusion. We talk a lot about freedom in this state. This is about freedom to make your own medical choices, your own choices about your own health. And right now, women don't have that opportunity like they did 24 hours ago. So I believe in the state of Florida, people will speak loudly and clearly and say that this is not acceptable to them, because this is, as you heard the woman say a moment ago, this is not just about women today. This is about our daughters. This is about our future. And women's rights really should be equal to the rights of men. And I don't think that you would see this. I don't think you would see this pass if this was something that affected men's bodies the way that it affects women's bodies.
Well, I mean, there will be an election, right? Because in November, Floridians will consider a ballot measure that will essentially overturn the 6-week abortion ban. It would, if it passes, and I think it needs 60%. enshrine abortion rights into the state constitution. What are you hearing from voters? Do you think do you think your side can get 60% at the polls to enshrine this in the Constitution?
Well, if you look at the polling right now, you can see that the numbers are there. I think that the effort there will be to make sure we get those folks to the polls. And I can tell you that right now they seem very motivated to do so. The very same day that the Supreme Court in Florida said that the 6-week abortion ban was legal, they also gave voters the right to go in and say that we want abortion protections in the state of Florida. So voters will have the opportunity to make their voices heard. For me, someone who has fought for women's health for a very, very long time, I think it is something that women especially will embrace, but I think a good number of men as well. People in this state value their privacy, and they don't want government overstep into their lives, and that is exactly what this is.